Hey there folks, Aldershot here, and today we're going to do an impression on Postal 2 Paradise Lost, developed by Running with Scissors, and it's on sale on Steam at the regular price of around $8 USD. This game does require you to have the original Postal 2 as a base game in order for it to work, as this is kind of a sequel slash expansion of that game. And that'll run you around $10 USD if you don't already have it. So if you want the full package, it'll run you around $18 USD. Alright. Now Postal 2 is, the base game anyways, the original is actually 11 years old, believe it or not. So it's going to be kind of interesting for sure. It's definitely an interesting idea to do an expansion or a sequel to an 11-year-old game. But anyways, at the end of the video, we'll talk a little bit more about the game's options as well as any extra features it might have. But before we move on any further, I do want to mention that this game is very, very mature, very, very adult. It features a lot of quote-unquote black humor comedy. So I do recommend for anyone who's below the age of adulthood, whatever that might be in your country, I do recommend maybe watching another video. Okay, so there you go, that's your content warning. So we're going to move on from there. We'll load a game that we got nice and prepared just for this video, of course. Alright, loaded in. Okay, good. Now, for the very few people who don't know what Postal is, it is, like I said, an older series, and I do believe it's actually quite popular, as in most gamers have a general idea of what it's all about. But, regardless, for the very few that don't know what it is, I'll quickly explain it to you guys. Looks like a little bit of action going on there. But anyways, it is a Sandbox-ish open world FPS, as you can clearly see. That features a lot of adults and black humor, if you will. And when I say black humor or adult humor, I mean the game's not afraid to be edgy, if you will. and definitely is not shy about making a few quote-unquote sexist jokes in the name of comedy and entertainment, of course, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward, of course. But yeah, that's essentially what Postal, the series, is all about. So I guess you can kind of think of it as Grand Theft Auto, but a little bit raunchier, a lot more satirical, and not quite as open as Grand Theft Auto. I don't really like using that comparison, but it's probably the one that most people would understand, at least for those who don't know what Postal is. But there you go. Anyways, like I mentioned before, this game is running on a 11-year-old engine, okay? And because of that, you know, the game definitely has a few flaws here and there. Alright, I think the first and foremost one is the graphics, right? Like, this is not a remastering whatsoever. Okay, this is straight up an expansion or a sequel, whatever you want to call it, to the original Postal 2. Oh my, that music's really loud. Anyways, let's get out of that. And because of that, the game definitely is showing its age, as you can clearly see. It's definitely not The Witcher 3 as far as graphical fidelity is concerned. It's definitely looking like an 11-year-old game, right? But you know what, I don't actually mind that. I think it's a pretty interesting idea to put out an expansion to an 11-year-old game using the same engine even. So that's definitely an interesting idea, and I think it's worth exploring, which obviously Running with Scissors have done. Let's see, I'm just checking if we're going the right way here. Yes, I do believe so. If you're curious to know what I'm doing, this is basically the world map, and every day when you play through the game you get a few objectives. Alright, today's objective is to get some chemicals, get some stilts, and to sabotage a karaoke. I am currently on my way to the karaoke. The map's not the greatest, to be completely honest. It took me a little bit of adjusting to really get used to it, just because some of the markers are kind of hard to read because the map is so kind of small, I guess, and it's hard to really pinpoint exactly where the markers are exactly, and there's like hidden paths that's not really labeled on the map, which makes things a little bit confusing sometimes. But I got adjusted, and I'm dealing with it. Like I said, it's an 11-year-old game, right? So it's going to have some problems. But not even just that. The game also follows 11-year-old game design philosophies as well, in that, you know, there's going to be health pickups and ammo pickups and stuff like that. You know, don't expect regenerating shields or anything like that. In fact, even the weapons are designed, at least how the gunplay is designed, is very, very much like an 11-year-old game. Like, for example, I have no iron sight. Okay, there's no iron sight in this game, and hell, there's not even reload in this game. I can just fire and fire and fire and fire away. There we go. Just keep going until we load into the next level anyways. And the reason for that, I think, is well, the game's not really focused around the gunplay. It's really just to enhance the overall gameplay. It's really more about the comedy and exploring the world and all that kind of stuff, right? Now we're going the wrong way. Okay, back we go. Which way? Is it this way? Or is it this way? This is kind of what I mean by the map's not overly clear. Okay, I don't think it's this way. I think it's this way. Okay, anyways. But yeah, it uses a lot of really old school design philosophies, right? Like I mentioned, there's health pickups, ammo pickups, and all that kind of stuff. Kind of reminiscent to, like, say, Doom or Wolfenstein or something like that, if we're really gonna go back that far. But yeah, you might be curious to wonder, blah, can we speak? You might be wondering, what the hell am I trying to do right now? There hasn't been too much action. I've been just kind of walking from one place to another. That's mainly because of the way I play the game. In Postal, the game does allow you to cause a lot of mayhem and havoc, as that's really part of the humor in this game. Like, I'll show you a little example. Let's see here. Oops, that's not what I want. Let's, no. Okay, yeah, let's whip it out. We can actually undo our fly. And, oh, I didn't need to do that. Okay, yeah, there we go. We can undo our fly and, urinate. On whatever, right? Yeah, there you go. That's part of the mechanics in this game. You can pee on people for some reason. It doesn't really serve too much a purpose. It's just for the sake that you can do it. And this game likes to do that. It likes to do things just because you can, and that's really that's what it comes down to, right? Let's see. Let's pull a fly up. Oh, that guy doesn't like us. So we'll shoot him. There we go. Just like that. And he's still shooting us. I don't like that. These guys have a lot of armor here. But yeah, the whole point is to really cause a lot of havoc if you choose so. And that's where a lot of the enjoyment and a lot of the fun factor is going to come from. Especially for those who like to cause a lot of havoc. Now, for me, I didn't actually cause a whole lot of havoc in my game. And the reason being is because I am a notorious min-maxer. Ooh, a cat. I'm gonna grab that. Alright. I'll show you why I grabbed a cat. Let's go to this gun here. You can actually attach it to your gun, kind of like a silencer. I keep hitting the wrong button here. And that will actually improve the firepower of the gun for some reason. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about the game. The game, you know, has a bit of black humor, you know. It's definitely a little bit ridiculous, to say the least. It's actually one of the more interesting aspects of the game. But as I was saying, the reason I never cause too much havoc in my playthroughs because I'm a notorious min-maxer. I feel like just using items for the hell of it is a waste of items. And I'm a bit of a hog in that way. I only used my guns, my ammo, my items when I need to, like in boss fights or when people piss me off, I guess, right? And when you play like me, if you're a min-maxer as well, this is going to be a lot of the game. It's going to be a lot of walking from point A to point B, and I think a lot of people should understand that before jumping into Postal 2. But, you know, if you cause more havoc, if you're a little bit looser in your gameplay and like to have just a little bit of fun, because the game definitely allows you a lot of opportunities to do that. As you clearly saw, all those people walking by me, I could have peed on them if I wanted to. I just chose not to. But if you do that, I'm sure you will have a lot more fun. Not saying I didn't have fun, but it's basically how the game is really designed to be played. I just kind of went against that design philosophy just because, again, I am a min-maxer, and that's just how I naturally play video games, right? But, like I said, the game does give you opportunities to do it, and to further prove that, the game gives you a whole bunch of inventory space, right? Like, you can carry all these different items with you all at once. It's not like modern games where you can only carry 1 or 2 items or 1 or 2 weapons at a time. And also, check this out. This is my rocket launcher. I have over 205 rockets in my inventory, which is a lot. I don't know many games where they have rocket launchers and give you over 200 rockets in your inventory. Hell, I don't even think TF2 gives you that much rockets in your inventory, right? And I believe one of the reasons why the game does that, to give you so much item space, to allow you to carry so many items at once, is to incentivize the player to cause a little bit of mayhem for absolutely no reason at all. Right? That's, again, where a lot of the enjoyment from this game is going to come from. Now, I didn't get that because, again, I didn't really do a lot of mayhem or havoc. I mainly just played through the story. And I still enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually really enjoyed it, to say the least. Mainly just for the humor and for the comedy, and just to see where the game's going to take me as far as situations is concerned, right? But anyways, we're at the karaoke bar, Fire in the Hole, and we're going to check it out. Check out what the mission has for us.
Sweetie, darling, how are you, pumpkin?
Hello, good sir. By the way, that's if you're not sure who that is, that's actually a cameo by one Mr. Milo Yiannopoulos. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's a pretty famous journalist these days, and he's really famed for covering let's just say certain video game political issues. Okay, let's just say that. But either way, pretty cool that he's in here. Okay, he's a pretty recent figure as far as the video game industry is concerned. Which brings me to my next point. It's really, really interesting to play this game. That's 11 years old, looks 11 years old, with 11-year-old design philosophy, and have it touch on very modern topics. It's almost surreal, even, right, when that comes up. And that's another aspect of Paradise Lost I really, really enjoy, just to see what the Running with Scissor guys will come up with, especially with modern topics and all that stuff. And they certainly did not disappoint, as you can clearly see. The humor is definitely a little crude, as you can clearly see. But you know what? I am perfectly a-okay with that. I'm a weird guy. I find crude and offensive humor very, very entertaining. And I think that's pretty neat. I think games like this is actually pretty important to our culture. Because, well, you don't get a lot of games that push the limits of entertainment and comedy and all that stuff these days, right? And I firmly believe that, in comedy there's nothing sacred except for the fact that nothing is sacred. That everything is funny. And nothing should be untouched, right? I really, really believe in that. And this game is really like a strong stance for that kind of principle. And I believe that games like this is very, very important to our culture, to remind us of such things. Not to mention, it's just really funny. It's just really, really funny and very, very entertaining. But anyways, let's move on with our mission and see what this karaoke business is all about. Let's see, let's try Oops, I
nuked you again. I pressed the button, wiped out society.
As you clearly see, the Postal dude is not really an entertainer himself, but let's try again anyways.
It's getting radioactive in here, so put on your hazmat suit.
Ha! Ha 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 ha!
Who let the beasts out?
As you can see, the game definitely does like to touch or parody popular, I don't know, pop events and topics and all that kind of stuff, so pay attention to the game is what I'm trying to say, like all the there's tons of little nuance and details. If you're paying really close attention, you'll definitely get a lot of humor out of it too. A lot of the humor is definitely hidden in the game. You're gonna have to pay attention, look at all the little nooks and crannies, and you'll find some little hidden gems as far as comedy is concerned. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the game's comedy. I like it. It's really dark. It's really immature, if you will. And I like it, because there's not a lot of games that does that anymore. But as far as gameplay is concerned, it's a little bit bland, to be completely honest. I mean, let's just admit it. There's not even reload or iron sight in this game. You literally point your gun and you shoot and you shoot and you shoot and you shoot. It's not much to it, you know. And like I said, it's running with 11-year-old design philosophies as well. And the reason they did that is because, like I said, this is not, you know, a true sequel. This is not a remastering. This has to be consistent to the original Postal 2. And because of all these reasons, the game's going to feel old when you play it. So the gameplay itself, I'll be completely honest, as I mentioned before, it's not anything special. It's actually kind of bland. But to be fair, I think a lot of people who would be interested in Postal, including myself, definitely did not pick it up for its exciting gameplay elements. It's certainly not for the graphics. I think most people are interested in Postal for its comedy, in which I think Postal 2 and Paradise Lost 2 obviously have, in my opinion, nailed it. You know, it's funny, it's grotesque, it's absurd, it's lewd, it's all these things, and I love it. It's a nice break from all the politically correct games that have pretty much dominated the market, both indie and AAA, for whatever reason. So, like I said, I've touched on this topic already, but I'll say it again. These kind of games, I think, is very, very important to be produced, to be kept alive, and to be enjoyed by whoever might find it enjoyable, right? But yeah, as far as gameplay wise, like I said, it's a little bland. Now, for those who are coming from Postal 2, who've already played Postal 2, you might be curious to how Paradise Lost hold up against the original Postal 2. And I think, you know, I think the guys from Running with Scissors have done a pretty good job at keeping the spirits of Postal alive in this pseudo-sequel / expansion. And like I said before, none of the designs have changed, really. The graphics haven't changed either. It's not a remastering, so you're not going to get improved graphics or anything like that. But the comedy's there. It's just as raunchy as the original. If you enjoyed the original Postal 2, I see absolutely no reason why you wouldn't enjoy its expansion, Paradise Lost, right? It's pretty good, I have to say. I definitely enjoyed the game. Even though I did find the gameplay a little bit bland, even though because of the way I play, because I'm a min-maxer, I don't really cause a lot of mayhem. I'm doing more in this video just for the sake of entertainment, but when I was actually playing the game, I didn't cause a lot of mayhem. I did mostly just running from point A to point B. And to be honest, playing like that, the game almost plays like a walking simulator, believe it or not, right? Because there's really not that much combat in this game. It's a lot of going from one place to another, and when you actually reach the point, that's when the combat might actually start, right? And you know what? I still found it entertaining because I was just excited to see what the next situation was going to be, what the next part of the story was going to be, you know? Because the game's ridiculous. It makes you do really ridiculous things. The whole story is ridiculous. You know, you wake up 11 years after from a coma. And the game is a little bit self-aware, by the way. And you lost your dog Champ, and the whole goal is to try and find your dog Champ, right? And along the way, you'll find, you know, really ridiculous characters like Gary Coleman, of course, as well as a very, very odd satanic cow that you end up working for, and a whole bunch of other situations that I don't really want to spoil for you guys. I think you guys are interested. I think you guys should check it out yourself, right? But yeah, that's basically Postal 2 in a nutshell. Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's what I'm trying to say. I definitely enjoyed it. It's mainly the comedy that kept me playing. It's mainly the comedy that incentivized for me to play in the first place. And the comedy definitely did not disappoint. I laughed more than once, for sure. Gameplay-wise, as I mentioned before, it is a little bit bland. You know, it is following 11-year-old philosophies and all that stuff, after all. And it definitely didn't make any improvements to its graphics whatsoever. But you know what? in today's time of indie games and all that kind of stuff, this graphical styling actually might be an advantage. It might be a charming factor, if you will, you know. But anyways, that's basically it for Postal 2 and my thoughts on it. I think it's pretty good, man. I think it's pretty good. If you're into raunchy or dark humor, or you just played the original Postal 2, this is definitely for you, alright? But you're easily offended, okay? If you're easily offended, my God, just stay away. Don't even bother, you know. Do it for yourself. Do it for your own sanity. Just don't play it. The game is not shy. I'm making a few controversial jokes here and there, let's just say, okay? But anyways, that's basically how I feel about the game. So let's quickly take a look at its options menu. This is the gameplay options. It's actually pretty robust. I do like it. You can turn blood and gore off and on, but to be honest, if you're playing a Postal game, why would you want to turn blood and gore off and on? You can turn weapon bob off and on, a whole bunch of different stuff. You guys can read for yourself, I'm sure. But yeah, it's actually pretty robust. You got a lot of different options here for you guys. Controls fully customizable, even with different sections, so you can switch between them, which is pretty cool, especially if you're playing on a machine with more than one person playing, as the second person might like the game being controlled in a different way, right? So that's cool. That's cool. I like it. I like it. Video, you know, you got your resolutions, your window mode, and all this kind of stuff. Contrast gamma, I don't really touch those normally. You might be curious to where all the anti-aliasing and V-Sync and all that stuff is in. That's under performance, right? Smoke effects, fire effects, all this kind of stuff. But in all honesty, this is an 11-year-old game, man. Like, I think it's pretty safe to maximize pretty much everything as far as graphical fidelity is concerned. Also supports mods in the workshop, which is pretty fantastic. I always appreciate games that supports mods, of course. You have your usual audio options as well, your audio sliders, but this one also has a few audio modes for you to select from as well. And you can even change how often the announcer speaks, and you can even change the announcer's
30 seconds remaining.
voice.
30 seconds
Right, so that's
remaining.
pretty cool. I gotta be honest, guys, like, the options menu is a lot more robust and impressive than a lot of modern AAA games, so kudos to Running with Scissors for that. Something else that's really cool about the options, I guess this would be counted as a special feature as well, but it has a cheats menu where you can turn on and off certain cheats built right in, you know. There we go, pretty cool. No need for like left, right, up, down, A, B, A, C, etc, etc, right? It's all here for you, which is pretty cool. I definitely like that. Definitely something fun to play around with, right? But there you go, guys. That's basically Postal 2, Paradise Lost. My thoughts and feelings, I guess you can say. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I finished it, and I made sure to finish it before I actually did this impression, mainly because this is one of those few games where most people probably won't be playing it for the gameplay aspect, and to judge it solely on the gameplay aspect wouldn't be fair in context, right? I think most people will be playing it for the story and the comedy, and that's another reason why I made sure to finish it before doing this impression. And after finishing it, I was quite satisfied with the experience I had with it. I enjoyed it very, very much indeed. But anyways, that's pretty much my thoughts. Hopefully you guys found this informative. Hopefully you found this enjoyable. And if you did, show me some love, like, share, fave, and comment. And if you haven't already, subscribe. I'll bring you lots more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, guys. Older shout out.